Hello and welcome to vlog number 24. This week I'm going to talk about my Parkinson's disease symptom progression from the first time I noticed that there was something wrong through diagnosis to the current day, which was requested by YouTube user Clusterhead Survivor. I think that my very first Parkinson's disease symptom was when I lost my sense of smell, which would have been around 1994. I had had a really heavy cold with sinusitis, and I blamed it on that and assumed it would return at some point. It didn't. On a couple of occasions I noticed that I had difficulty writing when under a lot of stress, but I just put it to the back of my mind. I took a contract in Amsterdam in 1996, working at one of the major Dutch banks, and whilst in their offices I started to smell a strange chemical smell which nobody else could smell. It was while I was still working in Amsterdam that my next symptom came along. I started with a very fine tremor in the fingers of my left hand. It wasn't very significant, but it was enough to make me consult my doctor in the UK when I finished my contract. The diagnosis, which was a misdiagnosis, was benign essential tremor. I was told, wrongly, that it definitely wasn't Parkinson's. Tremor progressed over the next few months, moving into my right hand very slightly, more strongly into my right foot. I also had some cognitive symptoms emerge, word loss and short-term memory issues. Stress and anxiety were also rife, but I'd had these two symptoms for as long as I could remember. Maybe those were my first symptoms, who knows? It was at this point that I found, on the internet, a link between my symptoms and mercury poisoning from the amalgam fillings in my teeth. So I consulted a specialist dental surgeon and had all of my dental metals removed. Subsequently, the tremor in my hands reduced and the tremor in my right foot disappeared altogether. The next significant event was around 2006, whilst I was getting divorced from my first wife. It was probably a direct consequence of the stress that I was under at the time. I have since my late teens, early 20s had digestive problems and took medication for acid reflux and heartburn. But I was working away from home again on a contract in Albury near Birmingham when I started with symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome and also seborrheic dermatitis, which was misdiagnosed as adult acne, both of which had to be controlled long term with the use of prescription drugs. I didn't realise at the time that both these conditions could have been related to Parkinson's. Until 2011, things were pretty uneventful symptom-wise. I noticed some progression in the tremor in my hands, but this was always noticed at times of great stress or when I was overtired. At the end of 2010, beginning of 2011, I had some dental work done, and my dentist installed some bridges that were backed with dental metals. Within a few weeks of the second dental bridge being installed, I noticed a marked increase in tremor in my right hand. It began when I was driving from my home in Norfolk to visit my children in Dorset, a trip of over 250 miles each way in rush hour traffic, so very stressful and very tiring. I also noticed around this time that I was getting really urgent sensations when I needed to urinate. I tried to ignore the tremor, but it was getting worse by the week. So I went to see my doctor and was referred to a neurologist at the Norfolk and Norwich Hospital. The neurologist was sure that the tremor was a new, different tremor to the one that I had all those years ago, but it's very clear to me that the symptoms I was experiencing now were the same symptoms that I'd had for many years, just more severe. I was convinced that the dental metals were to blame, and he conceded that that could be the case, although he did say, if I were a betting man, I'll bet you have Parkinson's. I consulted a private doctor in London who arranged for a wide variety of tests, which proved that I had a marked sensitivity to mercury and several other metals that are commonly used in dentistry. She said that she agreed that my condition appeared to be Parkinson's disease and that it had, in all probability, been brought on by my sensitivity to dental metals. She prescribed a regimen of supplements to address the deficiencies highlighted by the tests that she had ordered, and I also started juicing on her recommendation, drinking a pint a day of freshly prepared vegetable juice. It did improve my general health considerably, and I was able to discontinue taking the daily antibiotic for the misdiagnosed adult acne, and also the medication that I took twice a day for acid reflux and IBS. The tremor continued to progress, however, and by 2015 I was having trouble feeding myself because of it. I had by this time discovered that cannabis would help to calm my tremor, otherwise I'm pretty sure that I would have ended my life. My quality of life was virtually nil. Other symptoms had by this time emerged, and were also causing me problems. My muscles were getting weaker and stiffer, so I was having trouble getting up from a sitting position, getting out of the bath, and washing my own back when I had a bath. My handwriting had become small and virtually illegible. I could no longer sign my own name. I was suffering severe tiredness and was fighting off sleep in the middle of the day. I had tried a number of Parkinson's medications, none of which had any positive impact on my symptoms, and all of which had a negative impact, leaving me feeling incredibly unwell. On my next visit to the neurologist, he suggested that deep brain stimulation could be beneficial, and said that he would refer me for evaluation to see if I would be suitable for the surgery. I was very reluctant at this stage, because I knew of someone who had had brain surgery in the early 1990s for Parkinson's, and he had died on the operating table. My wife asked the neurologist what he would do if he were in my situation, and he said, "He's young, there's plenty of life ahead of him. If it was me, I'd go for it." His words stayed with me and convinced me to have the operation. I really had nothing to lose. So I was approved for DBS, and I had the operation on 19th of April 2016. There could only be one of two outcomes as far as I was concerned: that I survived the operation and it was a complete success, or that I didn't survive the operation. Happily, I got the first outcome. My DBS has given me back some quality of life, although I still use cannabis to help out when necessary, and Parkinson's continues to progress relentlessly behind the scenes. I still do not take any prescription medication for PD. My main symptoms these days are tremor, although that is largely suppressed by my DBS, some dystonia and muscular cramping, some dyskinesia, which is involuntary movement, rather like a tic caused by my DBS, slowness of movement, muscular stiffness and weakness, cognitive issues such as short-term memory problems, word loss, difficulty initiating tasks. My voice has also become weak and husky, sometimes disappearing altogether. My balance is sometimes problematic, and my walking is rather wooden. It is possible that some of these symptoms could be moderated by careful programming of my DBS system, so I will ask what can be done at my next programming session. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or have a topic that you'd like me to cover in future vlogs, just leave me a message in the comments and I'll do my best to respond. Have a great week. See you next Friday.